Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our PACtrospective. Today, again, we are doing Maria Marten, and today's PACtrospective is the Who. And so, of course, if we're going to do Maria Marten, we have to talk to our Maria Marten, Victoria Aaliyah Goins. So,
hey.
Hello, Victoria. How are you?
Hey, Damon. How you doing?
I'm good. So, we were lucky enough just about a month ago to have an interview with you with the What Are You Up To Now? So our associate, Tay, spoke to you about what's happening now, what are you up to? And this is sort of a reflection of who you are and where you came from, because not many people might know that you're not from Philadelphia. Victoria is an actor, a director, a teacher, a doula, soon-to-be professional runner, as was talked to. That was half the interview right there, was all about running.
It really was. That's my new hobby.
Right, right. You know, I think you inspired Charlotte because I don't know if she was running before that or after that, because now she's a runner.
What's crazy is she emailed me after the interview went live with Tay, and she was like, so crazy that you're running now. I've been waking up and going on runs. I'm like, stop. And so ever since, we've just been talking about like our running experiences via email. But I was so like, it was such a relief to have someone else also start running, because I run with my fiance, and he's like an athlete. So, you know, it's like running with someone who's experienced. He's enjoyed it from the second we got out there. Right. And like, it was cool to talk to somebody who was also just like starting and being like, I don't know why I'm doing this thing, but I'm doing it and I'm going to keep going. So yeah.
Right. I didn't think Charlotte got the app from you.
She did get the app. Yeah, she told me. Yeah, the little run club app. I love it. It keeps track of my miles. So you know, I don't really care about the mileage when I'm running, but when I look back on it, I'm like, wow, I've actually run quite a bit. It makes me feel good about myself.
So Victoria, you are originally from Houston, is that correct?
Yeah, I was born in Houston, Texas. Really, like Friendswood, which is like a suburb right outside of Houston. And yeah, but all of my mom's family is from Louisiana. Oh. So when I go back home, I typically am traveling like part Houston and then part Lafayette, Louisiana. So that's where all my mom's family lives. But then when I was in middle school, I moved to Burbank, California. Okay. And I lived there until I graduated from high school. And that's when I came out to Philly and went to Temple.
So moving to Burbank, was that like a parental choice to move out to Burbank? Because it's like, well, that's where all the TV and film are.
Right. So it actually was my choice as a kid. I apparently had a lot of autonomy and agency as a child, because anyways, I did this like talent showcase where we ended like that was in Houston. So I did this talent showcase in Houston. I ended up doing this like showcase in Los Angeles in front of like agents and managers and all the like, and I ended up getting representation while I was out at this little showcase. And my mom and I talked, and I was like, yeah, I want to try. So she's like, why don't we move out there for a year? She didn't sell her house, you know. We were like, let's go out there for a year. And we ended up staying until I graduated from high school. And it was intentional. I did start acting when I moved out there. And I had a good little ride. You know, I mostly did commercial work out there. Mm-hmm. And it was fun. I met like all of my lifelong friends live in California. So I have like people all over. I feel like I've lived on every coast except the Midwest. I've never lived in the Midwest. It'll come.
Eventually, yeah.
I'll get there, yeah.
So you're out in Burbank. You're going to high school out there. You have representation. You're doing commercial work. Yeah. But then you come out east to Philly, and you end up going to Temple. So what was Victoria Aaliyah Goins, you can go anywhere you want in the world. So you're out in Burbank. So what brought you to Philly and Temple?
Okay, so when I graduated from high school, I knew there was a huge part of me that was like, I want to still act, but I don't want to be in LA. I think, you know, some people, they strike gold when they go out to be, you know, kind of like work the industry as a kid. And like I said, I had a decent run, but I never, like, I was really hard on myself as a kid, and I still look back and I'm like, oh, I feel like I didn't book as much as I wanted to, you know, all the silly things. Who knows? So I left and I said, I'll go to school for something else. And Temple was like the one place that I applied to that wasn't really like a small liberal arts college that had like, you know, the football team and the basketball team and all of the like supposedly university stuff. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I just went to Temple off of a whim. My mom said she got good feelings there when we came to visit in person. And I thought to myself, Philadelphia is close enough to New York that if I ever wanted to get back into the industry on the opposite side, I could be right next to New York and kind of go into the industry that way. And I started doing stage work again once I got to Philadelphia, because in LA, I had really only done TV and film. And then when I moved out here, it gave me the opportunity while in school to do stage. And that opened up kind of a whole new, I don't know, entry point into the industry, and also just like a different level of appreciation for the craft that I didn't have before when I was living there.
Sure. Yeah. And, you know, going to Temple, I'm always interested in this, that, you know, people that are really good actors, and then you find out that they didn't actually go to school for acting. So you have a degree in strategic communication.
I do. I went to school for strategic communication with a focus in PR. I was obsessed with Scandal at the time when I chose my major. And, you know, I wanted to like work in crisis communications. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I wouldn't say like I really loved politics, but it had, I was intrigued by it, and I was intrigued in crisis communication on like a really like celebrity or like a political level. So that's what I went to school for, thinking that that's what I was going to end up doing after school. Well, I got to my sophomore year, and kind of the guilt of not pursuing acting, or at least not being on stage or doing it at all, started to like surpass the like fear of not being good at it. And so I took a class called The Art of Acting, which is like the gen ed basic Temple class, and met Ross Breschler was my teacher, and did that class. That was fun. And then I realized maybe I could audition for a show. And I auditioned for the Color Museum at Temple. And ever since then, it's like I went to all my Stratcom classes and got my degree in Stratcom. But most people thought I went to school for theater.
Sure.
Because I was always in that department. I always found my way into a theater class. So
that's it, you know, that happened, you know, back when I was an undergrad, and even currently, like in a university at Rutgers where I teach, where, you know, the English majors that are always hanging out in the theater department, that are freshman or sophomore, it's like, you know, within the next 6 months, it's like, you're not really an English major, are you? You're really a theater major, aren't you?
You're really a whole thespian, and we'd love to have you.
Yeah, you're going to be a double major now, aren't you?
Yeah. Oh, I did that for a second too. Right at the end, I was like, I'll double major. So yeah, so I ended up leaving. I left Temple with my degree in Stratcom. And you know, I will say that as much fun as I had in like the theater department, what I loved about like having a little something else in the pocket was that like it was really easy for me to do certain things like make my website and like other things that I feel like help with like the branding of an actor. I felt like a little more prepared for, simply because, you know, I had to write all 4 years of college. Garvey, I'm sorry. If I talk to my dog during this interview, it's because, okay, he's okay. He always seems to ask for attention, like when I'm in the middle of something.
That's okay. Our dog is right now asleep under the table, and there's a good chance that he's going to wake up, and when he wakes up, it's nothing but noise. So I couldn't find him before this interview. I was like,
where is he?
And then he's like right under the table. It's like a ticking time bomb right now.
Right? Because as soon as he wakes up, it's all over.
Yeah. So you went to Temple, and then this brings us to the Maria Marten portion of this, because I don't remember exactly how you came into audition. I can't remember if it was a submission. I can't remember if we saw you at the GPAAs.
I think y'all may have seen me at the GPAAs.
Okay.
Because I just remember, I don't remember submitting for it. I remember being just like invited to audition, and I do remember. I feel like you were in the audition room when I was.
Yeah.
You were. Were you my reader? Were you the person I read with?
Probably, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I do remember it correctly, and I remember I walked in having really no true sense of like what this thing was, because I read the whole show. I will say I read the whole show before I went into audition. But I was like, I don't know if this is like a comedy or like a really, really just like out there drama or a soap opera. I had no clue really what it was. So when I left the audition, I thought I did terrible. I was like, I'm not gonna get that thing.
I can give you some backstory, because you came in and you were great. And so you left, and I think we had a little bit of time. You might have been the last person. I can't remember who came in that night.
I didn't see anyone out there when I left, so that might be true.
I think you were the last person. So I remember you left. I think I might have had to walk, because we were in the basement of Interact. So I think I might have had you, okay, we have to get out this way and then back out the steps into this garbage alley, and then
yeah. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, watch your step over there. But I remember like coming back in the room, and I think Charlotte was like, "What do you think of Victoria?" I remember looking at your resume, and I was like, "We'll never get her." I was like,
"No way!"
There's no way. Yeah. I was like looking at your resume. I was like, "She's a TV star." I was like, she's gonna be in a film. She's gonna be doing TV. I was like, there's no way she's gonna do our garbage little melodrama when like she's gonna be on like sets.
That is so funny. And here I was thinking, man, I have no clue what I just went in there and did. When I got the email like, hey, we want to offer you, and then it was like the role of Mariah, I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I think I was in Houston at the time, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, and I like opened the email, and it was like super, I don't know why, I think probably that whole like young professional, barely a professional thing right after school, I barely checked my email. So it was like in the middle of the night when I finally, see this like role offer, and I was so excited, but also so nervous because it was the title role. Right. And I was like, my audition was horrible. Are these people insane? Why are they putting me in their play? But yeah.
It's such a thing though with actors, because I'm an actor as well. And, we go into auditions, and it's usually when we go out feeling that was garbage. Like, right. I felt horrible. That's when like all of a sudden you get the first refusal, or you get put on hold, or like you get the offer.
Exactly.
It's almost never when you walk out of there going, everyone else go home.
Exactly. You're like, I got this one in the bag. And right. Then you reach, they're like, we went in a different direction.
So you get cast as Maria Marten. And it is funny you talk about like, I'm not sure exactly what is this thing. And for us, for PAC, it's not like this is the normal thing that PAC does.
Yeah.
Like, we had never done a melodrama before. And even like, last week we talked to Dan and Charlotte for The Why. And we also talked to Seth Rosen about the space, about the where. But, for us, the first time doing it, and also we've never done this weird thing where Dan and myself would switch roles. And so like, what was the rehearsal? We talked about our rehearsal experience of me and Dan trying to figure out with Charlotte how to do this. So from somebody who was on the inside, so what was your experience? Not just like, how was it working with Damon and Dan, but like, what I mean is like, how was your experience navigating this world of melodrama and trying to find the truth within the craziness?
As a young actor, I was really lucky because Charlotte was like our director, and she was so kind, and she even like, she was like, hey, don't know if you have time before rehearsals even started. She was like, do you want to go get coffee? And we kind of got to like, I kind of got to voice all of my, it's really wild and wonky. I have no clue what we're going to come up with. And she was like, I have no clue what we're going to come up with either. And she kind of briefed me a little that you guys would be, switching between the villain and the fool every night. And she was like, how do you feel about that? And I was like, oh, I don't care. Like they have more work to do than me. I just have to adjust. I have to adjust to them. I honestly had so much fun, like in rehearsal rooms when you guys were like trying to figure out what were going to be the things that were always the same, and what were going to be the things that you guys both kind of took your own comedic liberties on. I had fun watching that. I think as a young actor, it was really cool to watch that, because how many times do you get to do it? I mean, has anyone done something like that since then? Like, how many times do you get to watch something like that where two actors also put their egos aside to, I mean, granted, you guys were doing the role like the exact, like it's not like you were doing the role and you were always on stage, but still put your egos aside to have fun and collaborate together and, come up with wonky choices. And then also we had that fun competition about who was going to be the villain first,
right,
like our, our little social media competition. That just made rehearsals even more fun. Yeah, I had a good time. I had a really great time. Yeah. And Charlotte's just like, I feel like mom directors are so efficient. Like directors who are also moms, they're just so efficient in the way that they like deal with the room. And it's never like, it's always fun, but also like we get out. So there was never, as much fun as you guys had, it never really like affected how efficient we were in rehearsal. And so I guess if that was the like one worry that I could have, coming into it, it was quickly alleviated.
That's so funny. I never thought about it in terms of like mom or like parent directors, that there's a sense of like, all right, we have to do this at this time and this time, you got this class at this time, you have to do this after this, mom's going to pick you up. There is a sense of like, you have to schedule. And it's funny, even like during this time where we can't be anywhere and it's summer and our boy is all the summer camps are not in person anymore. Some of them are online and stuff, but even then it's like we have a schedule. You have to do this at this time, and it's not as in stone as a normal kind of like summer camp, but it gives us routine during the day as well.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And what's crazy about parent directors too? I feel like it's also just the best parent / mom trick ever, which is we're gonna stay on schedule and you're gonna have fun staying on schedule. Like, I mean, by the end, I feel like at the end of every rehearsal, we kind of always hit our mark of where we wanted to be. And then that was that. And I always bring that up. I always tell the actors, they're like, so how has your experience been? I said, I've always just had the really like the benefit of working with like directors who are also like parents. And it can be like, shepherding sheep, when you're working with actors, because especially for a show like that, because like we could have played all day with that. That. So it was a good time. Yeah, I had fun.
So we were talking last week, about the title role. So it is Maria Marten, and how it is based on a true story, that it is based on the murder of this woman. And like something that, we were trying to be very sensitive of, was not that it's like just totally this rollicking, wonderful thing. And like, they were having a great time and like, let's kill the girl and then bury her. And that's all great. Something that we're trying to strive for. And like by we, like I'm saying Pac and also yourself, is that this woman isn't a victim per se, that there is a strength to this person. There are choices that she makes, but also that, she in a way is stronger than everyone else in the play. There is a moral center there. I don't know if there's anything you want to speak to that, or like, were there certain challenges you had in finding that?
I think that you're spot on with the fact that like Mariah's character is like stronger than everyone else in the play, even though you could look at it and be like, how did this foolish girl not know that this guy was a total villain? You could look at it that way, but then I'd have to bring up all of the folks that I talked to after the show when we were running that were, I mean, I had a friend come who I told her point blank, I die in this show. And still when Porter prances around the whole show talking about how he's going to kill Mariah, right? And yet every night there were always people that were like, ooh, she's dead. Like he did it. He killed her after he announced it. And I think that goes to show that like the character was written in such a like innocent, vulnerable, loving, really. She really like loved Porter. She loved their child. She wanted to be with him. I think it extended more than like her parents' desires for her virtue. I think she really wanted to be with this person. And I think that kind of like really read to the audience, so that when she did die, it was still like this kind of like unbelievable thing that happened, even though we talk about it for like an hour, that this is the thing that's going to happen. Also, the show ends with her getting the ultimate revenge, which is in the afterlife, because he can't do anything to her now, you know? So coming back as a ghost was always a ton of fun. And I think that like her moral arc kind of just like outshined the fact that that someone did a really terrible thing to her. And I think unfortunately that's like kind of often the case when we have really terrible incidents like this, is that the person that was on the other end of the demise, you know, they're missed so much because there was a sense of vulnerability that other folks might not have a lot of access to, and that's why it like hurts and stings so much when it does happen. I don't know if that kind of answers your question.
No, it does. Yeah. You know, so that was we did that in June of 2018. So that was, it feels so much longer ago.
It really does.
You know, maybe because like part of this like whole pandemic thing, it's like we've been shut down for 4 months, but it feels like it's been 3 years.
Right.
But since then, you've been working quite a bit as an actor here in town. I'm thinking about Sunset Baby at Azuka, for example. Yeah. But something that you've been doing more of now, and Tay touched on this a little bit, is you've been directing. Yeah, so you've been an AD for Ragtime.
Yeah.
For the Niceties, which unfortunately shut down at Interact. Yeah. You want to talk about your transition from, I don't want to say transition because you're still acting. It's not as if you're not.
Yeah.
Acting.
Yeah. It's something that I've definitely just been exploring, directing. I love it because I think that I love it, I think, just because you get to storytell from like beginning to end, right? I feel like as actors, we come in, we have our interpretation of the character that we're playing, and then we do that, we react to the other people on stage, and we do that every single night. And then as a director, you get the opportunity to like collaborate with an entire team to build a story. And I love collaborating with other people. I think that's what's so cool about PAC, is that you guys have like a collective of artists that collaborate consistently to create shows. So that's what directing has been for me. It's been like toying around with what does it mean to be a part of the story from not the inception, right? Because I'm not the playwright, but like from getting the script to putting it up. Since quarantine started, I've been able to do a couple things on Zoom, which has been fun and telling in itself. But it's been a lot of fun. So I call myself like an emerging director because I'm like just trying to explore it and see kind of where I fit and what my vision is. So that was something that that Tay asked me, was like, what is your vision as a director? And I was like, honestly, right now, probably because I'm a little novice at it, is I just start with the script. So like I focus on what the playwright's vision is. Does the playwright's vision speak to me? And is it something that I feel like I have a right and also the ability to like convey? And so I got a couple little directing things coming up for virtual stuff, and I'm excited. I think that hopefully once things open up again, that maybe I could like direct a reading or something and like have live bodies in the room and get to, collab in real life as opposed to virtually. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. My first experience is ADing. I've learned so much from the directors that I've gotten to work under, and that's kind of been my MO, is like, who will let me, work under them and work next to them and see how they work, and what things can I pick up from them that work for me, and also like how. The best thing I've learned about directing is like, don't have any imposter syndrome. Just make choice. Like just make a choice and stand in your choice. And who cares if anyone likes it or doesn't like it or whatever, you just have to tell the story. So that's been cool.
It's interesting because you talk about like ADing for different people and working for some really good people and learning from them. And, I often find sometimes as a director, as you find your voice is sometimes an amalgamation of
Yeah.
those people, because, it's like being an actor. Like we have the opportunity to be in a room as a reader, and like you watch actors come in and you see how they audition and the pieces they use and the way they are in the room. I always tell young actors that like the greatest experience you can have is to be a reader, to watch 5 hours of auditioning or watch 8 hours of auditioning and watch how the people behind the table work with the people in front of the table. That's like a big learning experience as an actor and as a director, because you get to watch the directors work with people. So it's something to think about, like how much your directing style is you take from the people, the things you really love that they've done.
Totally. And I think a huge part for me too, especially as an AD, was working with understudies. Like, I've learned so much from working with folks who have the awful but incredible job of basically potentially being called on to do another, to fill in for another actor. And so like I had to take a lot, like, I don't want to say responsibility because I'm not the one going on stage, but I had to kind of take on the responsibility of like, people are counting on you to feel secure in the fact that if they get that call, like, they're not going to be ridiculously nervous. They're going to feel prepared. And like, I feel like for me, that has been like the first hurdle and rung of like being a good director is like, can you watch someone else direct, pick up all the things that the actor is doing, discuss that with your understudy, and have a conversation with them about what it means to feel prepared if they get that call. So that has been something too. Yeah, I'm like novice, but I love learning something new, clearly, right? Like I'll go try and run with I found out that my running shoes were 2 sizes too small the other day. Anyways, I digress. So I'll pick up a new skill anytime. So it's been so much fun to just like sit, especially like I said, beneath some people who have so much experience directing. And yeah, I definitely feel like I've picked up stuff from all of them, and have kind of like that's helping me form what my actual directorial vision is.
So transitioning from the theater world, and this is going back, full circle. Like, well, we're gonna lose her because she's gonna be on TV. So right before everything shut down, you were shooting at least one episode for MARE of EASTTOWN.
I was, yeah. So it was the one. Luckily, thank goodness, it was the one episode that I was cast in, and we filmed it and we shot it, and hopefully they were able to like finish up and wrap it. But yeah, I was working. I got my first. It was my first speaking role on TV. So. Wow. That was, super exciting. And it's so crazy. It was literally right before the pandemic, because they came out, they were like, we know what the news has been saying. It was like a huge amount of people. They were like, basically everyone be safe, do your jobs, and, let's move and keep going. And then the next day it was like, hey, everything is shutting down. So it was like, by the hair on my chinny chin chin, and the grace of God, that I was able to have like my first little speaking gig for TV. So I'm excited. I cannot wait to like scroll through, watch the season just to see myself say a couple.
Right. Because I think I may be wrong about this, but you might be in the pilot.
I don't know if I'm in the. I don't know if I'm in the pilot or like one of the episodes towards the end. Okay. I have no clue. I once again went in, thought the audition was terrible, and then and actually like many a week had passed by, and then they were like, hey, we want you to come in 2 days for this. So yeah, we will see. Who knows where I end up. They don't tell me anything. I just
right. So that was right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
So what are you doing now in terms of keeping yourself well? I know, but we know about the running.
Yes.
keeping you're so healthy, keeping your art healthy.
Yeah.
What are things that you're doing now? You mentioned some of the directing projects.
Yeah, so I've got a couple things on Zoom coming up, and then before that, I took a workshop with Directors Gathering,
Oh, yeah.
and I feel like one of the greatest things we can do at this time is just keep learning, right? Like no one's ever perfected any craft. So like the more that you can like sit amongst other people who are at different points in their journey, because there were experienced directors there were novice directors there, you can learn something. So that's what I've been doing. I've also, to keep myself sane, oddly enough, I've been watching like court television. I know that sounds wild on keeping yourself sane.
Court television?
Yeah, like The People's Court is my favorite show.
Sure.
With Judge Marilyn Milian. And I think what makes it so like, calming for me when I watch it is the fact that it's really routine. Like it's the same thing every time, but the scenario changes. And then also just like, what is really the law? Like, what is the law around money? I don't know why that intrigues me so much. And to watch people argue about things that really don't matter at this time, has been like really just like oddly grounding for me, because I've been able to be like, dang, like this person is suing their brother for $500. Like, we know that it's not about the $500. You just want the relationship with your brother or whatever to be mended, So like, I'm watching that, realizing like, okay, life is too short for any of us to be caught up in like really, really materialistic things that actually have no meaning. What you really want to do is you want to like connect with people. That's all we're like craving right now. It's just like connection and collaboration with other people. So watching court TV reminds me of how easy it is to like lose sight of that. And also reminds me how quick it is to remember it when that is like taken away from you. So oddly enough. And then as far as anything else protecting my art, I journal every day now.
Is that part of the artist way?
Yes, it is.
There you go.
Yes. I do my morning pages. If folks haven't read The Artist Way by Julia Cameron, I really encourage you to read it. If you're feeling, honestly, even if you're not, but if you're feeling stuck, it's definitely a place to start, because all roads lead back to you, So I've been doing my morning pages every single day. I'm getting to you, like, I think she says in the book, like, don't read them until you've reached like 8 weeks. I think I'm in like week 8. So I might be able to actually start reading my past entries now. Oddly enough, that has been so freeing to like, just like in the morning, get all of my jumbled thoughts out, even if they make absolutely no sense, even if I write I'm tired 30 times. It has just been, it's like, I've noticed more ideas throughout the day, because I don't know, I guess like my brain is less clogged. I don't know. But that has been something that's been really, really centering. And yeah, those have been the few things: journaling, court television, and running, which we already talked about.
There we go. And a few directing things that are coming up on Zoom that like I'll put a little tag on the end of this.
Awesome.
So Victoria, Aaliyah Goins, thanks so much for joining us in the PACtrospective here.
Damon, thanks so much for having me. I had so much fun.